So 2 25-lap races coming up. 60 Ks, as you can see, for our first one. It will fly by. And the point to note, Garth Tander, what shape will those hard tyres be in at the end of this race? Will we see some movement in the pack as a result of degradation? Set to go.
Green flag, start a formation lap.
So here's how they'll line up the Fuso starting grid for race 4 of the 2015 championship for Craig Lowndes. First time he's taken back-to-back pole positions since Barbagallo 2014. Never had consecutive poles at Simmons prior to today. That's great for David Reynolds, a guy who was told before the season even started he was under pressure to retain that drive. Garth Tander alongside Tim Slade with the 300 on the side of the Super Cheap Auto entry. Man of the match effort so far from Andre Heimgartner. He scored some PBs in qualifying at this venue for the rookie. Scott Pye, that's a very good job. 15th position for DJR Team Penske. Scott McLaughlin, his worst qualifying effort since GRM, of course, started with Volvo just over 12 months ago. Michael Caruso down in 21st position. Nick Percat, that brand new chassis, we'll talk about that as the weekend continues to unfold. And Tim Blanchard from row 13. So they're heading around and we'll take up their spots on the grid for a start. We've heard from almost all of the drivers before we get going here. Neil, from a temperature point of view, you've been outside there, you've been on the grid. What are your thoughts?
There's certainly more direct sunlight on the racetrack than at any other time of the weekend, so the track surface temperature has come up accordingly. The air at the moment is around about 18 degrees. However, the actual track temp itself is up now in the low 30s. So they haven't dealt with that so far this weekend. Those that weren't with us yesterday, the first hour of practice was marred by pretty heavy rain, which wasn't forecast, caught everybody on the hop, and what that's done is condensed the rest of the program. So they had a 1-hour session in the afternoon. They had to get a lot of work done. 15-minute practice session this morning. Real intensity in that one, and then 2 qualifying sessions that set up our sprint races this afternoon. Big focus on team radios at the moment for brake and tyre temperature, and then car position on the grid.
Hard tyres only today. Soft tyres will come into play tomorrow. So too will pit stops. It'll be a very different ball game tomorrow. 84 laps, 200 kilometres. Today, it's all about going flat out for 60 Ks, and we've got 2 of those races this afternoon.
Hot spots here. Always congestion at turn 2. Always congestion at turn 4.
Green flag, green flag.
Race 4 of the championship. Simmons Plains in Tasmania. Great crowd here. Good start by Craig Lowndes, and he will lead them over the Yump for the first time. Winterbottom tucks in behind him. Nice start in the Erebus Motorsport entry for Will Davison. Chaz Mostert in the thick of battle there with David Reynolds as well. They stream under the Dunlop Bridge and work down to turn 4 for the first time. A couple of them side by side. Look at Van Gisbergen looking for a move on Reynolds. Reynolds has the inside line. Oh, some congestion that Neil talked about, and Davison's gone round.
Pushing in the back. I was getting pushed from behind.
So Will Davison at the tail of the field rotates the car and rejoins an absolute last position. He was helped into that. This is Heimgartner. Van Gisbergen. That's a move on Mostert. And Betty Klemenko, team owner, totally disheartened by what's happened down there at turn 4. This is Scott Pye on the inside of Lee Holdsworth. That was a textbook start from Craig Lowndes. He dropped the clutch, no wheel spin. And look at Pye going on with it here with Holdsworth. And it puts him in an awkward position through the right-hander. He got the squeeze on there. That made Scott's turn a little slower than he would have wanted, so he immediately jumps to the left to protect. Look at Coulthard up the outside. Battling here with Tim Slade.
Scott McLaughlin has...
They won't have an issue there with Murph. We'll come back to you. So a drama for the 33. We talked about the tough qualifying effort for him. The troubles continue. Hopefully GRM can sort that, get that S60 back in the game. Look at Slade defending Coulthard here. Todd Kelly behind him, then the Super Black Racing entry of Andre Heimgartner. It's all good for Craig Lowndes at the front. From Mark Winterbottom, James Courtney, then Shane Van Gisbergen. On board the Super Black Racing entry now.
Heimgartner through the right-hander at 3. That's where the squeeze was on the lap before with Scotty Pye and Lee Holdsworth. Feeding it gears all the way back to first gear and 50 kilometres an hour, and trouble there for James Moffat. He went so close to actually nailing the rear bumper of his boss, Todd Kelly. Back with Andre. Now he's on the awkward side of the road here, where it is a little dirtier, and it's hard to stay committed to the throttle in that circumstance, but he's got the ideal line in the left-hander. You see the back of the thing starting to walk around, particularly with James tucked under the rear wing, which destabilises the preceding car. Moffat up the inside of Todd Kelly. He's ground his way through. It's not done yet. Todd fires back. They're exchanging paint. And it's going to resolve in favour of James Moffat. He actually went back a gear to first there to just fire it out. Todd's hanging in there. What a battle between teammates. And look at Holdsworth trying to jam up the inside here as well. So he now jams it back to the right. This is a battle, believe it or not, for 13th. Look at Pye. Todd Kelly's gone around. Pye's in there as well. It's busted the right rear suspension, has it? The graphics just masking.
Is it? Is he cut? He's
jammed.
Replay of the start here. We'll check that incident again for you in a moment. A little bit of movement there from Winterbottom. They reset though.
That's okay, so long as he's stationary when the light changes colour. But that was a great reaction from Craig Lowndes. And look further in the back of the pack here for Will Davison and how much help he got in this process. Do we see it, or has it already happened at that point? Well, there's always trouble in that hairpin in the early stages of the race.
The view from Van Gisbergen. Oh, was there help from the 22? Hard to tell from that angle. Yeah.
Very difficult to be able to really ascertain, isn't it? Look at this. So that was Lee Holdsworth on Todd. I thought that Scott Pye was going to be caught in that. Now, has that moved that right rear wheel on Todd's car, or is it just an optical illusion? No, I think it's actually okay. He's just jammed up on the curb because there's no clearance with those cars.
It's bogged in the mud there, and he can't get out. Back with Shane Van Gisbergen, 4th in this race at the moment. Car up ahead is the 22 of James Courtney. Lowndes enjoys almost a second margin, a second lead over Mark Winterbottom. Mostert is 5th and Reynolds 6th.
Mostert just did the fastest middle sector in the race on the last lap, but Lowndes owns the fastest lap of the race, a 52.5.
Scotty McLaughlin stating the obvious, though. This is a disaster to the start of your 2015. I'm struggling to believe it. What's the problem?
I took off. I actually had a really good start, and then it's like a transaxle went on me or something went and just started vibrating massively on power, and yeah, just carked itself, mate. This is the story of our life at the moment.
Well, the challenge is going to be making sure that the 33 can get out for the next race.
Yeah, 100%. So, thank you.
Let's hope so. They do a great job at GRM. Just watching them filter through here. Slade and Coulthard still battling for that final spot in the top 10. Slade 9th, Coulthard 10th. Good first sector from Lowndes last time through. As Neil said, best time of the race so far, a 52.55. Shift cut issue for Tim Slade yesterday, some sort of problem with the engine control unit. It cost him a lot of time. Fabian Coulthard's had a tough weekend so far as well. Good sector for Mostert, good middle sector for him last time through in the 6. So these FGX Falcons now, under the Pro Drive Racing umbrella, all of them inside the top 12. Happy outing so far for David Reynolds here. Coulthard having a look, not quite.
His complaint 24 hours after the fact is that he just hasn't got confidence in the brakes in this car. And yesterday he thought it was just fantastic. Had nothing to report this morning, and then he went out in practice 3 and said, oh, the initial retardation of the brakes is not good, the stability's not good. They had a little problem with the cross member in this car, which is beneath the engine and part of the structure of the underbody of the car. They actually thought it was a problem, so they changed it overnight, and seemingly for the better, but it hasn't really translated. Tim Slade, after qualifying, was just frustrated that he didn't get a little bit more out of it. He really didn't have any great complaints about the car, but he said, oh, if only I could have got a half a tenth or a tenth here or there, it would have made all the difference. Frustrated that it was just so close. And he was really keen to get some more support in the right rear of the car through turns 6 and 7.
Scotty Sinclair of Nissan Motorsport. Nervous moments to you for James Moffat and Todd Kelly, but obviously disappointing to have Todd Kelly spun around there.
Yeah, they were pretty close for a few corners there, but it sorted itself out, and then obviously got tangled up with someone behind us there, which is disappointing for Todd. He'd done well to get to 12th. He's obviously at the back now. We'll start again the next race in 12th, so hopefully we can make it count the next one.
Thanks, Scott.
Thank you.
You can hear it in his voice, can't you? Just not where they're at.
Yeah, very frustrating when you have to deal with that stuff, but it is actually part of the game, unfortunately. So Lowndes looking pretty comfortable at the moment, and much of that outcome is owed to the result in qualifying and then what appeared to be a picture-perfect start.
I'm down at Erebus Motorsport with Ryan Madison. I think you guys have had a great weekend until that incident happened there, obviously, with Will. Did you get a report on exactly what he thought had happened from behind?
Yeah, we definitely got a report. He was pretty clear that it certainly wasn't his fault.
No, I think we could see that he was helped there in that situation. The boys there going hammer and tongs, probably not where you want them to be together at this point. Will, was very confident before the start of this race, and the car, looking fantastic this weekend.
Yeah, he's got pace. We're just controlling it, basically telling him pick them off one by one. Those guys being side by side, well, there you go. No problem.
Unlike some other people.
Thanks very much.
Ryan Madison in conversation there with Greg Murphy in the pit bunker, Erebus Motorsport, and those two cars locked together at the moment. Teammate Ash Walsh sidestepped and gave Will right of way, half a lap back, gave him the opportunity. So here's our race leader, who's got an air gap at the moment over Mark Winterbottom and looking pretty comfortable. So it's about 2+ seconds at the moment. You can see fresh air behind me, jump on board with him at turn 6. And this was the area of the racetrack yesterday where there was big focus. Meantime, Scott Pye and Jason Bright, they've been battling hard. This is 18th and 19th at the moment. These fellas are about 20 seconds off the lead of the race. Now, Bright was really down in the mouth about the brake performance of this car. He said, I just can't feel it. There's echoes of Marcus Ambrose. I've got no confidence in the brakes at all. And then he just looked at me and shrugged his shoulders and said, and it's all about brakes here. So at the moment, he's not entirely happy with the behaviour of the car. And there is the man that I just spoke about, Marcus Ambrose, watching Scott Pye at the helm at the moment. Scotty's done a nice job. Remember that he's not been in the saddle since Sydney Olympic Park, conclusion of last year's championship. He did a nice job too on occasion. He had some terrible bad luck. In fact, he's had it at this location too as Will now looks to fire up the inside of Jason Bright. He had to think about it. That car's good at the moment. He's positioning it where he wants. He was able to tuck it down tight, puts him on the high side through this right-hander at turn 5. But he's now starting to threaten Jason Bright here, and that's having the effect of letting Scott Pye go. And Scotty needs a break, and this is the big one for him this weekend. When he was in Adelaide, he was doing pit tours for the team. So I said to him yesterday, everything from that point on, mate, is profit. So when you get out of having to do corporate pit tours and you're now back in the saddle, that's all good news. So he was relishing the opportunity. He was actually really happy in both the wet and the dry yesterday as well.
So Craig Lowndes leading the way from Mark Winterbottom, James Courtney, Shane Van Gisbergen and Chaz Mostert rounds out the top 5.
Huge brake temperatures down there. Look at Bright running very wide. This could be the opportunity and the incentive that Will Davison is looking for here. Now, he's got to go the long way, but what that means is he's ideally positioned for the braking turn 6. So pit lane drive through penalty car 18, Lee Holdsworth. Watch this. There's track position for you. So that is a positive gain for Davison. Bright tries the crisscross. Actually, he's under him. A little bump. Couldn't get it done.
Best lap last time around, 52.324 from Shane van Gisbergen, who sits in fourth in this race at the moment.
Well, I hate to say it, guys, but I'm back in the Erebus garage at the moment. Ash Walsh is in the garage. His car seems to have come to a stop. Something to do with the engine. The bonnet is up. The guys are looking under there. Maybe something to do with a spark plug or something running on 7 cylinders. But a day is going from bad to worse for these guys after such a promising start this morning.
And Lee Holdsworth has served that penalty in the meantime. Let's have a look at the replay here. Oh, is that a window?
Yeah, it's a window. Can't work out whose it is, what it is, but out it's come.
Back with Davison now. Scott Pye up ahead of him there in 17th as we go back to 4th position. Van Gisbergen behind him, Mostert and Reynolds.
It's not a bad job in recovery here for Shane van Gisbergen. Remember, he got nailed 2 spots in qualifying after his role in that incident with Ash Walsh up at the hairpin. So here we are with Chaz Mostert. We're going to ride with him for the full lap. So this is just past the pit area and our commentary point, over the hump, turn 1. Big direction change then at turn 2. Pretty low speed there in 2, just 90 Ks. Fast right-hander through 3, 165 Ks, and then building to 245 kilometres an hour here, depending on the wind and the tyre condition. And then it's nearly 100-kilo leg press in the gym to pull it up and stop it. More than 800 degrees front brake temp. 50 Ks first gear. Gear shift at 103 Ks. You break the regular speed limit before you grab second gear. Then third, then fourth, then fifth. And in 6th gear, which he's now grabbed, it's 266 kilometres an hour. Little tap of the brakes just to make sure they're pressured up. 105 kilometres an hour, the slowest speed in the mid-corner here at 6. Then you just gently pick the throttle up and short shift to 4th so you don't slide the car. See the wheel, he's just concentrating on driving the car straight. He grabs 5th briefly to keep it off the rev limiter, and then you cycle back through it all again. So you've got to do all of that stuff, and that's just you managing your car, but you've got to manage the other 24 guys around you in the process.
Well, fellas, the news is worse than expected for Scotty McLaughlin's 33. They're having to pull the engine out of the front of that car. It wasn't the transaxle. It was the thing that makes the transaxle turn at the front.
Well, that's a disaster for McLaughlin. So I reckon that's the polycarbonate window that's come out of Will Davison's car. Actually, I think it was Melbourne, or Adelaide, I can't remember now, but he had a problem with the window net at one stage as well, so he's had a little bit of trouble in that area of the car. So much air disturbance when the 2 cars are together. When you're side by side like that, or even nose to tail, you can't believe how much movement there is in the cars because of all of the disturbance of the air around both cars. And so there's a lot of negative air pressure there, and it's literally plucked the window out of there.
Such a shame for Davison. He's got great confidence in this car at the moment. He's chasing Scott Pye for 17th.
See that little rock in the 17 car over the top of the hump there in turn 1? That's undesirable. So one of the things that's good when you get into your race rhythm here and you get to spend time in the car and see what's going on with others around you as well, you start to get a sense of where your strengths and weaknesses are, and that just doesn't look nice. It's a little oscillation in that car, a rock in the back of it that I'm sure the engineers at DJR Team Penske will look carefully at in their analysis afterwards. Just didn't look entirely happy, did it? Here we are, little battle going on back up at the sharper end of the field between Mostert and Van Gisbergen. So Chaz is stalking him at the moment. Behind them is David Reynolds. Bit of an air gap there to Dave. There he is in the green car. Meantime, Lowndes is checking out. He's got 2.8 seconds in hand at the moment over Mark Winterbottom. James Courtney having a relatively lonely run. He's about a second off Winterbottom, but he's 4 seconds clear of Shane van Gisbergen, who's on screen at the moment. So James is just having a nice leisurely Saturday afternoon stroll out there at present. How's the speeds here, Rusty? First to second, 103 Ks. Second to third, 134. Third to fourth, 166. Fourth to fifth, 197. Fifth to sixth, 234. And then you're nearly out of breath at 266 Ks at the end of the back straight. It's a really cool ride. And
I love the numbers you were talking about yesterday, the extreme brake temperatures you get down at 4 and down at 6. And that'll be a story tomorrow, won't it, in the longer races? The longer race, I should say.
We parked Greg Murphy down there yesterday in practice just to have a look at it, and he said towards the end of the session you could really smell the brakes and you could just see the physical stress involved in pulling up the cars down there. So the amount of G or gravitational force on the driver down there right here when Shane grabs the brake is about 1.7 Gs. So it means that momentarily, depending on what he weighs with all his gear on, which will be something in the order of about 85 kilos, he's going to be about 150 kilos temporarily while he's just hanging in the 6-point harness. The brake performance is the thing that when you take a passenger for a ride on a corporate day or a media event is the thing that really grabs everyone's attention. You kind of expect the speed, and most people have experienced it when they roll down a runway in an aeroplane or whatever, but the braking is something that nobody's ever ready for because they've got enormous brakes on them and huge stopping power, and you treat the brake with absolute contempt. So you push with all your might when there's a lot of aero on the car in particular, because it's quite hard to lock the brakes early in the stop, but late in the stop when there's less aero effect. There's about 350 kilos of total downforce on the car at 200 kilometres an hour. But the closer you get to the corner, the less the aero effect and the more prone you are to locking the brakes. So you've got to reduce a little bit of that pressure, but you're pretty brutal on that brake early on. And you can see the front of Shane's car just dipping down there. The reason I held my breath for a moment there too is Mostert is racing. He's getting closer and closer to becoming a real annoyance for Van Gisbergen. Meantime, Will Davison now down the inside of Scott Pye. Gets it done, and he's now moved up to 17th position as a result of that, and the replay verifies.
On board with Jamie Whincup. Reynolds up ahead of him. Counting down to the end of this race. Up ahead you can see Mostert as Neil Detail getting racy, getting closer, starting to harass Shane Van Gisbergen.
Hasn't looked entirely comfortable this weekend, Jamie. He's tucked in there with Dave at the moment, Dave Reynolds in the green car, who just fed the Falcon to the left a little bit there, which was a signal of don't bother trying to look down the inside because I've got you covered. I had a chat to him yesterday afternoon and he doesn't give too much away wisely. Jamie Whincup is actually looking forward to a couple of days break over Easter because it's been a hugely busy start to the season. See him reach down for what was, I think, a black lever there. I don't think he was making an anti-roll bar adjustment. He's actually altering the brake bias percentage in the car. So there are 3 controls in that Red Bull car that you can see visibly to the left of the driver. One of them's for the front anti-roll bar, another for the rear, as Ash Walsh, incidentally, is just parked opposite our commentary box and has got rolling once again. And the black one just alters the brake bias.
Guys, I just had a quick little nudge there with Jeff Slater, Van Gisbergen's engineer, and just did a bit of an understeer sort of impersonation, and he nodded his head. That 97 just doesn't look like it's able to turn down at the hairpin or turn 6 as good as he would want it to be doing, and he's just got a bit of push in the front of that car.
And it doesn't take much, does it, Greg? So if you are lacking by a couple of kilometres an hour on your corner exit speed, coming off turn 4 or coming out of turn 2, the net effect of that when you amplify the speed through the next run, remember the back straight's 800 metres long of wide open throttle, you come off there 2 or 3 Ks soft because you couldn't pick the throttle up early because the thing's understeering, not responding to your turning input. It'll have the effect at the other end of the straight of being something in the order of 4, 5, 6 kilometres an hour. And that's just making him a little vulnerable at the moment. But Shane's discipline in the car has really come on in the last season or so. Now he'll know that, he'll have had to play with the bars, and he'll position the car in such a way that there may be some invitation to Chaz Mostert because he can sense the weakness, but then he's actually got to get by him, and that's a whole other deal.
Hey, I know you don't do social media, but you did answer a question before. The fans have been asking at V8 Supercars, hashtag V8SC, about that black lever. They have been eagle-eyed and watching it in the coverage, so you've answered it for a number of fans. Thank you. Lowndes continues to lead the way, and he is about to get this done. Final lap starts for Craig Lowndes. Scored the 39th pole of his career today.
Last lap, mate. Last lap. Okay.
Just waiting for Grant McPherson and Craig Lowndes to finish their little chat. So 52.32 for Shane van Gisbergen, fastest lap in the race. So whatever it's got in chassis condition and balance land isn't too bad. So maybe he was able to trim it up and find something there. This has been a mighty performance by Craig Lowndes. Commanding qualifying performance. A stunning start, and really from turn 2, that set it up brilliantly, didn't it? Remember, he's #1 in the category for race wins. He's sitting on 97. He's about to turn it into magic number 98.
It was a tough day yesterday, but it didn't matter. He was chasing car performance, and it's perfect for race 4 of the championship. Craig Lowndes from pole position to race winner.
Good work. Thank you. That was good.
Winterbottom home second from Courtney. Van Gisbergen, as Neil detailed, with that good lap towards the end of the race. Mostert in the top 5. And David Reynolds rounds out your top 6. But there's your winner. He's enjoyed Simmons over time and banks the victory here. Well done to Craig Lowndes and to Red Bull Racing Australia. Frosty in conversation there.
It moves Craig's tally on to 8 wins at this location. Back to James Courtney here, who had the quietest of runs. It's just amazing sometimes how it can unfold in this business. So he really didn't have any response to Mark Winterbottom, but he was well clear of Shane van Gisbergen, and he just idled round. But he'll have an opportunity now to smarten that car up for the second sprint run this afternoon.
A couple of other stories in the results. James Moffat, 12th. You've got to drift back in terms of some of the other Nissan performers.
It's an interesting little inter-team battle going on for podiums between that is Craig Lowndes, and Jamie Whincup as well. They're both tied on 135, so Craig just moved that marker by 1 to 136. It'll be the last thing on his mind at the moment, but that was a commanding drive. And like every driver, he's a confidence player. He's just been re-signed. There's his team manager, Mark Dutton. Head of Holden Motorsport, Simon McNamara, adds his congratulations. And so he's re-signed, he's got a deal, he's tuned her up, he's going well. And there's Grant McPherson, and they're very happy with their work so far this weekend, as they should be. Congratulations to them. And Roland Dane adds as well.
Fantastic for he and for Shippy there for their partnership. A victor. And we've still got another sprint to come this afternoon, and he will start from pole position for that one as well. Gets the congratulations from James Courtney. We know the Falcons have been fast here as well, all over the first part of the championship. What a pro drive got in store this afternoon, but this guy is just riding on confidence.
Congratulations, Craig Lowndes, from pole position to victory, and it takes you to 8 wins at this circuit.
Yeah, thanks. I think it's a credit to the guys. You know, they gave me a great car. It's sort of something, as you said on the start line, that we worked pretty tirelessly yesterday to try and make it a good race car. You never know going into a race whether it's going to do 25 laps, but look, the first important part was to get that break off Frosty and try not to get him in the toe, which we're able to do. Look after the car and, of course, bring it home. So it's a credit to everyone at Red Bull.
You get to do it all again this afternoon from pole position again, and before you do that, there's a lovely trophy from the guys at Tyre Power. Well done. And we'll go and find Mark Winterbottom. Congratulations, Frosty, second position in race 4 of the championship. Craig had that little bit more speed on you for this one.
Yeah, it wasn't quick enough in that one. The qualifying was okay, and then you make changes to try and make the tyres last, but we made it quite lazy in the front, so it was good, pretty clean race, but it was pretty hard work here trying to catch him, and he just kept driving away. So yeah, we'll work hard and try and make it quicker, but yeah, he's just too quick at the moment. Some silverware for yourself from the guys at Tyre Power. And finally, James Courtney, as he just adjusts the car a little bit himself. JC, congratulations, third place on the podium. You sort of were circulating alone there for majority of that race.
Yeah, it was pretty exciting at the start. Everyone down into the hairpin. I was getting ran from behind. I think it was Mostert drove me into Will. No one wants to see that at the start of the race. So so that wasn't good. Yeah, and then just drove around by myself, tried to catch Mark. He had a bit of pace on, so we closed up the gap, but yeah, it's getting a bit risky, pushing a little hard. So we'll save it for the last one, and we start third the next one. So see how we go.
Congratulations, take your trophy, and good luck for the next race.
James giving his take on that incident and what unfolded as we recap the results for you In the first of 3 races here at the Tyre Power Tasmania SuperSprint, it's Lowndes' day from pole position to the checkered flag in race 1. Winterbottom and Courtney pick up some silverware as well. Good job, Shane van Gisbergen. Heimgartner just outside the 10. We'll speak to James Moffat very shortly. The Nissans outside the top 10, and a tough day, as we've already covered off, for Volvo.
James Moffat, moved forward a few spots, mate. You had a fairly intense battle there for about, I think it went on forever just about, with your team boss, Todd Kelly. Is he going to summons you into the truck, is he?
I don't know. It seemed all right from where I was, but...
it was pretty entertaining from where we were.
Oh, well, that's good. That's the main thing, isn't it? But, yeah, him and Heimgartner were having a bit of a battle, and then Todd was on the outside, unfortunately, so then I thought I'd stick my nose in there and try and get an opportunity if there was one there. And, yeah, we went side by side into 1 and 2, and I think he got turned around at the hairpin, but it wasn't by me, so I can't get done for that. But, yeah, pretty other than that, pretty uneventful race, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I don't think you're going to be in trouble for that one. The car's not looking too bad. I mean, it's tough in this 25-lap short race. It's to make too much inroads, but you got a few spots.
Yeah, we picked up a few at the start, got a good start, and then it was just about circulating. We went pretty aggressive on the setup there because it is only 25 laps, and maybe a bit too aggressive. So it's a bit hard on its tyres, but yeah, 12th for us it's not great, but it's not too bad.
Yeah, I mean, it's you've got to push on. 25 laps, you just got to go absolutely hammer and tongs the whole time. So you noticed with that, the way your setup was, they just started to go off a little bit.
Yeah, I radioed through to Pez, my engineer, about halfway. I said, I'm in a bit of trouble here. So he's just like, righto, mate, just do your best. So thanks for that.
Oh, you'll fix it up for the next one. Good luck.
Thank you. Cheers.
We update the championship standings for you after 4 races for 2015. Courtney still on top. Lowndes just 39 points behind. And Tander, 40 points there in that battle for 3rd position. Look at this here, Davison and Courtney.
Oh boy, I can't wait to be behind you next time, mate. Seriously.
You got that on camera?
Cars in park.
We'll have a look at the vision, mate, and then come back and apologise.
Righto, mate, yeah.
Wow.
Me, I'm the one going backwards.
All right, mate.
So what that's all about is what happened at turn 4, and we weren't really able to put a full stop on it, and I was scratching my head at the end of the race, and that was Will Davison going in there and having a short, sharp interview with James Courtney because he felt it was turned around.
Highlights from the race. Craig Lowndes, beautiful start, just got on with the job. Winterbottom told us at the end of the race that he felt the front was a little bit lazy. They changed the car, they tuned it a little bit between qualifying and race 4. Maybe it didn't go quite the way he wanted. It sounds like that. The view from the champ, battling there with Shane van Gisbergen. Always you get this funnel of activity down at 4, and you've seen Will Davison. He's pretty fiery, he's pretty uptight about it. Courtney feels as though he was given some help in this matter, and that may have, in James's eyes, caused the turn. So race 5 still to come, but race 4 had plenty of action. Good battle it was too between these guys, with Moffat, as you heard before, actually getting up the inside of his teammate, but his teammate then had this moment, Todd Kelly. That's the part we weren't able to see, was able to get that 7 out of the difficulty at turn 4. Walsh trying to pull that car number 4 up, and his teammate fought his way through the field, kept picking up spots as Marcus Ambrose looked on at Scott Pye's performance. The window, he lost it, but it didn't slow car 9 down. He was fired up, Will Davison, and continued to move through the field. Checkered flag for Craig Lowndes. And Red Bull Racing are pretty happy about it too. It was a great performance, and he'll start from the top spot for race 5 coming up. Greg?
Well, mate, after such a promising day in qualifying, to have it all end down at the hairpin, you're having a few words there with James Courtney. What's the go?
Well, apparently I've got to look at the vision, but I don't care. I mean, I've had my race ruined by someone just being silly, someone in a position like him. Maybe he was hit from behind. I reckon he's hit me and then he was hit from behind, because every time the guy's near me, he's got to drill me. He just cannot help himself to be smart and sensible. And someone in his position right now to drive like that, I mean, this is a big weekend for us, and it wasn't even an attempt of a passing move. It was just a complete stuff up. He's telling me to have a cry. I'll be right. I mean, the arrogance on the bloke's just pathetic. I feel sorry for him. So, yeah, we're going to try and race clean and have a great start. And, yeah, I've been turfed and I've got a fair idea what happened. I mean, I seriously don't know what he was thinking. He's always just got to rub me up and he thinks it intimidates me. But, you know, it's just a shame. It's not what you want to see up the front.
All right, well, regroup for the second one, mate, and good luck. And
absolutely.
Use that energy to put it into the car.
Yeah, it's it, mate. It's just a shame. It's just not what you want for our guys and the team and Betty. It's a big deal for us, and just someone of his calibre, he's leading the championship, and a move not like that is... Anyway, it's we'll see if he was drilled from behind, but I doubt it. I think that'll be after he's hit me.
Jamie Whincup, I can tell you're frustrated. I can tell by the look on your face and your body language. Talk us through the race and what you need to do to get further up the front.
Oh, hey, we just weren't quick enough, you know. We're not blaming anyone. It's just we haven't got set up today, and yeah, we're struggling for pace. So, yeah, it gets annoying, you know. I want to be out the front, battling out with my teammate, but he did a great job. We'll see what we can do for the next one.
Thanks, Jamie.
Thanks, Tiff.
Well, it was a good result, James. Another podium, third place for the first race, but just saw you having a little bit of a to-do with old Will Davison. What's the story?
Yeah, Will got pretty emotional there from the start. Look, I was being drilled in the back from Mostert, which pushed me into him, and then, you know, in the end, he's the one that spun around. So I can understand his aggro, but I just said, look, mate, have a look at the vision, and then come back and, you know, yelling at the wrong guy here. So it's, you know, I understand he's upset. You know, they've been struggling for pace, and then to have that happen, you know, it's upsetting for him. But yeah, got a little upset.
It's always, you know, the hairpin here at Simmons Play, and she's you know, obviously one of those concertina moments where it doesn't take a lot for those situations to come into effect, and you know, and often we see those someone facing the wrong direction. So it is frustrating. But you know, your car. Let's talk about your car. Looking reasonably pacey. You're a bit alone there behind second place Winterbottom.
Yeah, it took a couple of laps to come on. Obviously, we lost that time in the start with that whole incident. So the guys gapped us a little, and then those first couple of laps to get the tyres to come in took a little bit, but then once it come on song, it was really quite quick and sort of pulled back in on Winterbottom. But yeah, just run out of laps there. So so the car's good. We're just got to tune up a few little things. Still got a little bit too much push right as you release the brake and wanting it to rotate at the hairpin. So the guys will try and tune that up a little, and we start third again in the last one, so get a better start this time and hopefully get the other two.
Good luck for race 5.
Cheers, mate.
Some tensions high between Will Davison and the 22 as he continues to explain what he believes happened. James Courtney to Jason Bargwanna, Adrian Burgess in the middle. We'll follow that story, and after Will's had a look at it, we'll give you an update on that before the next race of the championship.